ASMR, a special ASMR dedicated to the Cold War topic, in particular the espionage technologies that can blow up your mind, because I bet you never think that would exist back then. Well, the Cold War has sparked an arms race not only on the battlefield and in weapons, but also in espionage technology. And both parties, United States and allies, and the other one part, Soviet Union, developed some mind-blowing espionage device and gadgets to gather intelligence. Let's have a look over some of them. Well, first, we're gonna talk about the CIA acoustic cat. The acoustic kitty was a CIA most bizarre projects. The agency implanted microphones and antennas into cats. Yeah, cats. To use them as a mobile spying device and to intercept communication in the Soviet embassies across Europe. The idea was that the cat would be not suspicious and can roam freely near the embassy. But the project proved to be unsuccessful because the first cat used in an experimental test was hit by a taxi just in front of the Soviet embassy. Right, sorry, the pigeon camera. Long before drones and satellites, CIA and other intelligence agencies in Europe and even in KGB used pigeon equipped with cameras to take aerial photos of the enemy sites or of the strategic points and gather intelligence. Well, these pigeon cameras were strapped to the birds, which were then released to fly over sensitive areas on or over Soviet military bases. The cool fact is that this system worked, and the pigeons who flew freely captured surprisingly detailed image. But the outcome of the project was to be dropped, cancelled, because the due to the birds' unpredictability, so it was proved unreliable. Right, so this man is the one dog. Okay. Next, the CIA, Insectodopter. Yes, what this could be, an insectodopter. It was a small insect-like drone. Yes, it was electronically created by CIA, modeled after a dragonfly, and it was equipped with a tiny engine and camera designed to fly unnoticed and collect images. Well, it never reached full operational status because it was hard to control in a slightly windy conditions. But this is proof that this was an early attempt to create surveillance drones. Yeah. Next, in 1978, KGB Poison Umbrella. The Poison Umbrella was one of the KGB's deadliest assassination tool. In 1978, the Bulgarian dissident Georgy Markov was assassinated in London by an agent who stabbed him with an umbrella that injected a tiny, small amount of resin pellet. The umbrella appeared to be a normal accessory, but it had a special designed pneumatic mechanism to fire a deadly pellet without drawing attention. Wow. So that's more. The Great Seal Thing Bug, 1945. This was one of the greatest ingenious listening device in the Cold War. In 1945, Soviet school children presented to the US ambassador in Moscow with a carved wooden replica of the Great Seal of the United States as a gift. Well, it seems that it held a covert listening device known as the Thing, invented by a Soviet physicist, Leon Termin. The device has no battery and was powered by radio waves beamed from distance. The microphone inside would only activate when a Soviet transmitter outside the embassy sent an appropriate frequency. It was undetected until it was accidentally discovered in 1952. Wow, genius, right? So, without batteries of external power, a wave transmitter powered microphone, that's quite genius. The hollow nickel or the spy coins. In 1953, a paper boy in Brooklyn discovered a hollow nickel that contained a tiny microfilm with coded Soviet messages. Well, it seems that the coin was lost and was part of a KGB operation on the US soil, where they use spy coins to pass secret information. The microfilm in the coin led to the identification of a Soviet spy ring operation on US soil. Well, this hollow nickel became one of the most famous examples of how seemingly ordinary items were turned into covert communication devices. Yeah. And we have the laser microphone. Well, this laser microphone was a Cold War breakthrough surveillance technology. This device used a laser beam to detect sound vibrations on windows from an inside room. By aiming the laser through the glass of the window, it could pick up the sound conversations that happening inside that room. The laser will detect very tiny microscopic vibration caused by the voices, and the sound could be remotely reconstructed by a special device. This allows spies to eavesdrop on private meetings from a considerable distance. Well, this would be a very sci-fi technology back then. Just try to imagine using laser instead of microphones and reconstruct the sound waves. Well, next, the masked camera. Well, masked cameras were something usual. Microphones and masked camera. Miniature designs to everyday objects were stapled in the Cold War espionage. Button cameras were hidden in a coat buttons, for example, and used to take covered pictures. Similarly, pan cameras and cigarette pan cameras were designed to be carried easily and to be concealed gadgets of espionage by both CIA and KGB agents. Well, these were very common, and everybody knows that they could possibly be present in every meeting back then. And it was a safe communications and intelligence gathering tools, safe for some only. Well, we talk about gadgets and tools, but now let's talk about big things like spy planes. Yes, there were spy planes in both sides, US or CIA and KGB. The most famous is U-2. It was a high-altitude reconnaissance aircraft developed by CIA in the 1950s, way before the spy satellites or espionage satellites were invented. It was designed to fly at very high altitude, beyond the reach of the Soviet missiles or interceptors, and allowing to capture high resolution images of the enemy territory. And this spy plane U-2 became famous after the pilot Francis Power was shot down over Soviet airspace in 1960, which was a sparking major diplomatic scandal between those two countries or superpowers. The KGB SPP, well, SPP it's translated Subminiature surveillance camera. They developed a very small camera device that could fit inside a matchbox and even a wristwatch. The camera could be carried and concealed easily, allowing Soviet agents to covert photograph sensitive documents and locations. And because it was so small and versatile, it was the most used and the most effective Soviet intelligence espionage tool. The spy rocks. Yes, spy rocks, as you can see. This idea was originating from during the Cold War and early espionage stages. The most example, or the modern example, the last, was in 2006. After the Cold War ended, long after the Cold War ended, when the Russian authorities discovered a hidden fake rock in Moscow near the KGB, the ex-KGB embassy, building. The rock was placed nearby strategically in a bush, containing sophisticated electronics used to transmit secret messages. Well, it seems that the genius device was made by the British, and Russian intelligence accused British agents of using the rock to covert communications with their operatives. Well, it was proved that this kind of rock was staying there even from the Cold War era, so yes, interesting. This was a Cold War relic. So, in 1974, the CIA project Azorian. Well, Azorian was a top-secret CIA mission to recover a sunken Soviet submarine that has sunk in 1968 in Pacific Ocean. And how they used a massive ship disguised as a mining vessel, the CIA attempted to raise the submarine from the ocean floor to recover its nuclear missiles and intelligence. Well, the mission was only partially successful. I don't know the outcome. Right now, let's take to more advanced technologies back then. Diving spy suit with infrared vision. CIA developed a diving suit with infrared night visions to allow agents to conduct underwater espionage operations in the dark areas or in complete darkness. These suits were equipped with rebreathers and with advanced technologies to avoid the bubbles to be seen by the enemy, the breathable bubbles, making the spies invisible while submerged. This technology was used for underwater sabotages of high precious targets or infiltrating in locations, strategical locations, like planting and listening devices under the sea floor, or conducted secret surveillance missions. Right. The Stasi odor sampling jars is German Stasi secret police developed an unusual way to track dissidents by collecting and preserving their scents. They believed that every individual had a unique odor which could be used to identify them later. Oh my god, the Stasi would collect sweat samples from chairs, clothes, and even from dissidents themselves, storing them in odor sampling jars. This is unbelievable. And they were used later to train dogs to detect the smells of every agent enrolled and to track the targets. Whoa, yes, this makes sense. We are at the end, and these gadgets and technologies reveal an extraordinary creative way of stealing, or let's say gathering intelligence back then. Many of these inventions were way ahead of their time back then, and laid the underground of the modern surveillance techniques we see today.